Alright, it's time to crank up the difficulty by doing the exercise 2.10 lever crank. And I want to note it's got an M in there, so we need to include that and make sure that we are in the metric system. I'll open this up. And just so you know, I am making this object right off the bat. This one does not have multiple things that are falling on the same axis. So no matter what, I'm going to have to get a little crafty as far as where I'm placing things. It also doesn't specifically mention what the distance is here. That seems like a problem. But not if we are conscious of what the information is giving us. So here, if we look at this left circle, it says that the diameter of the circle is 16. Oh, but the radius here is 20. Knowing that, the distance from the center to the edge is 20. That's the radius. And it does give me the width between these 2 points. It also gives me a radius here. So if I can use this radius to help me generate this radius is here. Oh, look, radius. I can find that center point using the information given. This is like a puzzle. So whenever you get one of these challenges, you have to try and figure this out. So I'm going to start off with my circle tool. And I'm just going to use origin for 0, 0. Oh, great. Okay, now that that's fixed, I'm going to start it up again. 0, 0. I just had to recreate the thing. And now it wants the radius of the circle. Well, diameter is 16, so the radius is going to be 8. Now I zoom extents. There we go. Now I can see that circle, and I can start generating the other parts. So, me personally, I just like making the radius of the larger circle, and I can always trim that later. And I know I'm going to need to have a line that's tangent along both circles. So I'm going to just make a line there. Now I'm going to have a radius that I have to do, but I'm going to use the fillet tool later. So I'm going to just start off with a tangent line that's horizontal. You'll see how that comes into play later. Now I'm going to get this second circle. So I get my circle tool, and let's see. From origin, it's over 76. So it's got a x-coordinate of 76. And now, let's see. Here, this distance is 20. This distance is 32. If I can subtract 20 from 32, I can figure out that extra bit. So, this is 0 on my origin here. So the y-coordinate's 0. So if I just subtract, I find that the second coordinate is 12. From this point, I can now generate the circle. It gives me diameter in the drawing, so I'm going to input a radius, which is just half. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I was comparing the outside circle compared to this one. I'm like, wait a minute, this one's supposed to be larger. No, the smaller circle in comparison is smaller. Okay, let's continue this. I have a center point identified, so I'm going to use this to follow that 32 radius that it gives me. Very good. Oh, looking good. We've got a tangent, which is exactly what we're going for. Now I'm going to keep playing along with this with a tangent line here. If you don't have snaps, make sure your snaps are selected. Okay, so I know it's going to go up. I can always trim it later. So now what I'm going to do is find the coordinate of this. So here, it's going to be in 20 from this line, which is 32. And the height is going to be 64. It gives me the height. Thank you, whoever made this drawing. So I'm going to start, let's see, my x-coordinate is going to be, let's see, 20 away from this. And let's see, hold on. 20 in from there. So here, if I hover my mouse on this point, which is the most extreme, at the bottom, you can't, okay, right down here, it gives me a read of where it is. It's at 108. So, if I want to find the x-coordinate of the top circle, 108 minus 20 is 88. So now I can input 88 for my x and 64 for my y. Now I use the diagram. Diameter is 12, so the radius is 6. I'm also going to use this center point like I did the other one with a radius of 20. And here I have checks and balances. I already drew a tangent line which should be touching both circles. It is currently touching both circles, which means I've drawn it correctly. So now what's left? I'm going to do one more tangent line. Length doesn't really matter. Now I need to trim things, I need to connect things. Let's start by creating the outline of this. I'm really only missing this, and I have a radius of 70. For this tool, I'm going to use the fillet tool. Fillet. No, I don't want to select objects. I want a radius. The radius I'm going to input is given to me in the diagram, 70. I'm going to select my first line. And now I'm going to select my second line. Too large. Of course. So I'm going to try this again. Radius, 70. Enter. First, second. Too large. All right. So it looks like I actually don't need this. Instead, I'm going to use the fillet tool. Radius, 70. Now I select my first object, and now I'm going to select the circle. I didn't realize this at the very beginning, but just a little guess and check and trying other things seems to make this work. The reason why I wanted to have that first line extending out, I'm going to do this one more time, is that I don't think it does work. Okay, you don't need those lines. All right, so I said once, I won't be making mistakes. I stand true to that. So now I'm pressing escape just to make sure you can see command cancel, just to make sure I have no other tools selected. And now what I want to do is clean this up so it actually looks like my object. I'm going to use the trim tool, and I'm going to trim any lines that I don't see in my drawing. Looks good. Confirm. You can do that with enter. And now I have the outline of my object drawn. That's part one. Part two is going to be the